So just going to go into a bit of terminology first and go into that cybersecurity reference landscape. So we have two terms here. We have an event and an incident. So an event is interesting. It's something that's happened. It's an indication, like the text says there, of a possible compromise or failure of control. That can impact security. So events on their own are they're the noise. They're the things that happen in the background. It's just things that a port's open. Yep, fine, a port's open. I don't really need to be woken up at 3 in the morning because one of my servers have a port open or an operating system isn't patched. These are things that happen in the background. As things change, as things go through time, events happen and events are generated. And this is the information that you're gathering within your tool set. Events happening in the background. What we're interested in and what will get me excited and as a person responsible for the security and protection of assets that you have within your organization are the incidents. When these events start correlating, when they start becoming interesting and they present themselves as an incident, that's when my ears start pricking up. I'm actually interested at this point, because the incident has related the events together, and it's demonstrated that there's a potential for compromise to operations that we have within our estates. So they could be a number of incidents together, a number of events gathered together that the volume of them makes me not happy. And this is where the algorithms within Sentinel, the alerting, the workbooks that within Sentinel and the analytics will start generating these incidents. So it's not up for you to go in unless you have a clear understanding sight of what it is you're trying to surface. And create these analytics. Sentinel will develop these analytics with you via the workbooks and via industry and Microsoft developed content. We'll go into a bit later to surface these incidents for you. We also plug into things like the threat intelligence exchange, which is an open standard for you to plug into wider industry threats that have been surfaced by communities as well. It's a great threat intelligence source. It's a must for an organization. But being able to pull these rule sets, so if we know about a phishing attack, okay, well let's make sure that the analytics looks for these phishing attacks as part of my checks that my environment does for me in the background. And then once these incidents are surfaced for me, that's when I need to act on them. We triage the incidents. We'll give them severity levels. I only want to be notified about mediums and above potentially. This is the business decision that you'll make within your organization. And how do I want to be notified about incidents? How do I integrate them with my security incident management process and things like that? That's what we're trying to gather from this. So just some terminology there. Events, they're just things in the background that are happening. The incidents, they're the things that get me excited. They're the things that I need to be woken up about. They're the things that pose a threat to my organization and to my assets within that as well. The cybersecurity reference architecture, so this shouldn't be the first time that you've seen this. This is a common diagram that Microsoft show, and partners, expert partners like ourselves, we use a lot because it gives you a visualization of the wider estates that you're ultimately responsible for as a security officer or someone with responsibility of security and protection of assets within your organization. You can see there from the center, we're dealing with data center resources. So I'm going to try and get cool here. So you can see here, we've got the traditional on-premise data center resources where you've got maybe your VMware estate, Hyper-V estate, you've got VMs sitting on there, you've got proxy services, you've got firewalls, you've got gateways, you might have intrusion detection devices or prevention devices, your more traditional castle approach to dealing with data center security. You may have outsourced a lot of your data center services to a third-party provider, providing IaaS services. Integration with them is also part of that ever-expanding estate that you have to manage as well. How do you integrate with data center partner X? How do they surface alerts? How do they provide that smart hands security protection? Are you still using traditional tools? Things like security appliances, the IDS, IPS services that are there to protect your resources within not just your data center, but third-party data centers. And now, as we're talking about things like Microsoft Azure, you're moving your services to a cloud-delivered data center service or delivery of data center services. So we start looking at not just the IaaS components, but also some of the PaaS elements as well. So start looking at app services, SQL services, but also some of the cloud native delivered services, things like backup from Microsoft, things like policy, things like Key Vault and Security Center components that you can't deploy a tool that will get you that. How do I know that a policy has changed, or someone's gone in and turned a policy off, or a machine isn't compliant to a certain policy? There's other tools that you need to surface through there that aren't available via a checkpoint firewall and things like that. So the amount of tools you've got, the amount of data sources you've got are ever expanding. But you still need to maintain control of them. Even into the clients, how you manage them. If they're managed clients, you've got a wide variety of different clients using things like Microsoft Defender. Unmanaged clients, bring your own device policies. People working from home, how are you securing access to your data via unmanaged or mobile devices? These are all conversations we've had over the last 2 years, with accelerated with things like COVID, that are posing more problems to your organisations. You haven't got people in an office on a LAN that you can control. Suddenly all my people are at home using their home PCs and things like that. It's a nightmare to control, and it's probably kept security people up a lot of the time. I know the customers I've worked with, it's been a massive threat to them as well. But as we move more into a software delivered world as well, so things like Office 365, there are no assets you can protect in terms of infrastructure. I can't harden my Exchange server because my Exchange server doesn't live there anymore. It's a service I'm buying from Microsoft. So there's the delegated controls that you've given to Microsoft, and that shared responsibility model that you buy from Microsoft, but also you understand what you're responsible for as part of that model as well. So you're leveraging in things like identity and access, leveraging information protection, so you are able to secure your assets, your files and folders, the data that you produce, access to that data. These are all different mechanisms that we're traditionally used to. You can see there how the SOC will sit over the top. So that capability hasn't changed. The SOC capability is still there, but you can see as we start plugging these services in, we use a common API layer, which we'll go into a minute what that means. It allows you to have the overarching tool of Microsoft Sentinel over the top that will provide that service for your security operation team to be able to deal with threats, deal with incident response and recovery, and the security operation practice as a whole there. So you can see as your estate changes, as it grows, as we're dealing with hybrid working, different delivery models for cloud infrastructure and software services, the security operations center doesn't change, but the tools we use to that need to be able to be fit for purpose so that we can deal with the modern threats and security controls that we've got.